In the last video, we took a look at how to apply filters and effects from the Zone tab of Directwave's interface. In this video, we'll continue our look at the Zone tab with the ring modulator filter, the decimator, the quantizer, the phaser, and the modulation matrix. First up is the ring modulator. This filter works by mixing two waveforms together that can create overtones to the original audio source. These overtones are then mixed back to the original audio. The rate parameter controls the speed of the two waveforms that are mixed together. You will find that the faster the rate is, the higher the pitch of the overtones that are created. The mix parameter controls how much of the overtones are mixed back in with the original source. Of course, you'll need to make sure that the effect is actually enabled before you'll hear the effect. Up next is the decimator. Without going into any great technical details, the decimator works by removing samples from the audio source. What is left is a distorted audio signal. The amount of samples removed is based on the step control. The higher this value is, the more samples are removed, and thus the more the audio is distorted. The mix parameter will control how much of the distorted audio is mixed back in with the original audio source. Much like the decimator, the quantizer works by removing data from the audio source. However, unlike the decimator, which removes samples, the quantizer removes bits from the audio. These bits relate to the audio's possible amplitude levels. This will also create distortion, although with a much different character than the decimator. Again, use the mix control to adjust the amount of distorted audio. The phaser is an effect that is similar to a flanger or chorus, however, not the same. A phaser works with a notch filter that will sweep up and down through the entire bandwidth, which creates the effect. The frequency parameter controls the speed of the notch filter that travels across the bandwidth. In other words, the speed of the effect. And of course, the mix controls how much of the effect is present in the audio source. Moving forwards, we are now going to look at the mod matrix. At first look, the matrix may appear daunting and complex to figure out, when in fact, once you understand what it does, it is easy to use. The mod matrix allows you to map various MIDI commands to various parameters of Directwave. For demonstration purposes, I have cleared all default mappings so we can build a new matrix from scratch. Each slot on the matrix has three parameters. The first drop-down menu is where you'll select which MIDI command you want to map to a Directwave parameter. The second is another drop-down menu where you will actually select the desired parameters you wish to map. The third is the amount for this matrix slot to be applied. So let's start with some simple mappings. The first thing we want to do is have the velocity of the note played control the amplitude. So from this first menu, I'll select the MIDI command note velocity. And from the second menu, I'll select voice gain and make sure that my amount control is set to full. Now when I play the note with different velocities, you can hear the difference in volume. Now I should point out that this mapping I've just demonstrated is in fact set up by default, as it is required in order to hear the sample itself. Now let's get creative a bit. In the second slot, I will map some note velocity command to a voice pitch. Now when I play the sample at different velocities, there is a pitch change depending on how hard the note is played. The mod matrix consists of 4 pages. Each page has 4 slots, so there are 32 possible custom modulation mappings, which is an enormous palette for your creativity. An organization tip for you here: if you find that you are mapping, say, 4 parameters to the note velocity alone, then it would be a good idea to use one page to map these note velocities, and perhaps another page to map other MIDI commands. This will make it easier for you to navigate the matrix. So, in this video, we looked at tweaking your audio with the ring modulator, the decimator, the quantizer, and the phaser effects. We also looked at how to map various MIDI commands to Directwave's parameters with the mod matrix. In the next video, we'll look at program management.